Dear Bishop, I'm Stan Copeland, the pastor of Lover's Lane United Methodist Church in Dallas, and I have an idea I want to run by you. I was thinking about getting my executive committee together and rewriting our corporation bylaws and putting in an article that says, the members of the corporation shall be the members of the church, and no members of the corporation shall have voting rights. Would the congregation have to know this? That we have taken away their voting rights? Could we just keep it a secret? It is true that we at Lover's Lane have been accustomed to voting as a congregation on big matters. We vote as a congregation before we build anything. It gives members buy-in, and they will be the ones that we're asking to pay for it, so we need that. But is it really necessary to let them vote? We vote before we conduct a capital campaign to build, or make improvements, retire debt, or raise money for our foundation. But what if some don't like the plans? They could cause headaches. It's easier to just not ask them to share their opinions. We vote before we purchase land, or sell land, or enter a long-term lease with one of our ministry corporations. The trust clause has never been a problem, but it might feel good to not have to answer to anybody, namely the conference. We voted before we amended our bylaws a few years ago, and though the changes were needed and the vote was unanimous, did we really have to let the congregation know about the change? And recently we asked the congregation if they wanted to enter a discernment process to see if we wanted to study and pray about staying or leaving the United Methodist Church. For weeks we encouraged every member to vote, and they did. They voted 92% that they didn't want to even discuss it. They were good being United Methodist, but it was a risk to let them voice and vote. It would be much easier if I just made the decisions with a small group of leaders who agree with me, right? The congregation really doesn't need to weigh in on big decisions. I think they trust me and our leaders to do what we think is best for them. Bishop, your eyes are getting wide. I need to say quickly, I was just pulling your leg. We at Lover's Lane United Methodist Church have a very open and transparent process where trust rules the day, and giving our members a voice and a vote is the United Methodist way, and it's the Lover's Lane way. It's the way we operate in our republic based on democratic principles as well. There's a lot of talk swirling around these days about bylaws and articles of incorporation. It's almost as if there is a template approach to changing a disaffiliating congregation's bylaws that lawyers put in place. It goes like this. First, have the pastor and the small group rewrite the bylaws. Most bylaws have a couple of statements regarding the relationship of the church to the United Methodist Church and the conference where the congregations are located, especially on matters related to the church property. The approach is for the pastor and the small group to simply omit the 2 or 3 numbered points of the articles that reference compliance with the Book of Discipline and what makes for a connection as United Methodists. So kicking the Book of Discipline and the United Methodist Church to the curb first is the ticket. And of course, this is illegal because a local United Methodist Church has a connection that is enforced by articles of incorporation, but primarily enforced by the Book of Discipline. A congregation can only operate as a United Methodist Church until they are allowed by the conference to not be a United Methodist Church. This is done by a vote to allow a congregation to disaffiliate. Now, the shocker is that the template bylaws actually state the members of the corporation shall be the members of the church, and no members of the corporation shall have voting rights. You see, if some get away with changing the bylaws of a congregation and disenfranchises the members of the church by taking their vote and placing all the power in the hands of the pastor as well as an identified group of leaders, then that small group assumes they can do whatever they want to do. Pretty sneaky. In church situations that I'm aware of where this is taking place before disaffiliation, the fallback is that the congregation's vote is not valid because the members have no vote. In churches that disaffiliate and have little or no oversight, changing their bylaws the same way and taking away the vote of the members is fairly easy. But how many of those members in such churches know that they do not have a vote going forward? The church I serve wouldn't stand for that, nor would I ever think of asking them to do so. There are some weird twists and turns in this time of disaffiliation. Some moves are less honest than others. It does surprise me what some of our colleagues and the leaders they have brought along will do to get their way. And my concern is if they get away with it, does it send a message to others who are just as ambitious and eager to not have to answer to authority or even their members? I know of a church that didn't get enough votes to disaffiliate, so they changed their bylaws, illegally of course, and they declared the vote invalid that they'd already taken, since the members don't have a vote according to the new bylaws. Bishop, you can't make this stuff up. I wonder if the members know that decisions are solely in the hands of the pastor and a small group of identified leaders. So I guess if the vote doesn't go your way, just take the congregation's vote away altogether by illegally changing the rules. Bishop, please understand that I'm all for churches abiding by paragraph 2553 and disaffiliating, but by getting a 2/3 vote and paying their apportionments, their pension liability, and having the conference approve disaffiliation. These are the requirements. No funny business. If the criteria is not met, it's the pastor and those on the short end of the vote or those trying to write their own rules who have to move. Bishop, I guess I would say to all United Methodist churches that are disaffiliating, and even those who already have been voted out, check your congregation's new bylaws and see if you, as a member, still have a vote. If you can't get a copy of the bylaws from the pastor, they are public record with the Secretary of State. You can get a copy there. Just know that if you don't have a vote, your voice really doesn't matter either. It's all part of the fine print when pastors and those in power seats make decisions for the body without strong, honest oversight and the absence of integrity. Bishop, have you subscribed to the Picklin Parson YouTube channel? If you do, it might keep me minding my P's and Q's. So thank you to every one of you watching and sharing and liking and even disliking and subscribing. You have a vote here, and you always will.